Okay. Erev Tov, everyone. Today is now the 15th day of the month of Mar Cheshvan. It's the yahrzeit of the Chazon Ish, who's a great rabbi in Eretz Yisrael that passed away a long time ago, the 1950s. Okay, we continue in Parshas Vayera, and we're going to do first pasuk. That's it. The first pasuk and a couple Rashis, and we're gonna look at some sukkim afterwards, and then we're gonna look at a medrash. We're gonna have lots of fun today. Okay, everyone's excited to have lots of fun. Okay, so let us begin with the J. If you will just read the pasuk, you don't have to translate it. And 1 second. Oopa. Uh-oh, something happened.
Lost Jay.
No, I didn't lose Jay. I lost my TV screen. So hang on. It might be one. It might be one of those days. 1 second.
Do the first process. We went through a stream of doing the first.
What's going on?
Okay, are we all set? Does everybody see everything? The screen? We're good? Everybody's good? Okay, Jay, take it away.
Okay. Vayera Eliv Hashem. Elav Hashem. Elonai Mamre. Yahu Yoshev Petach Ha'ohel Hachom Hayom.
Okay, good. All right, let's start with the first three words. We have Vayera Elav Hashem. Now, which word do we know? Which word do we not know? We know Hashem, right? Okay, Elav is made up of the word El and the suffix Yud Vav, which means
Him,
we got to speak a little louder.
him, to him.
What's El?
Hashem.
Hashem.
No, El.
El isn't El.
Vayomer Hashem El Moshe.
Oh, El too.
To Yud Vav is what?
Him.
To him, Hashem. So now, here's the word Vayera. Now, what's the root? Reish Aleph.
Is it Roeh?
Roeh
And
is
he-
to
and
see,
And he saw.
but here Vayera means to be seen.
Oh,
So Vayera Elav Hashem means, and Hashem appeared to
oh,
him.
Oh.
And Hashem appeared to him. Funny way to start a parsha. What is missing in that line?
The person he appeared to.
Yes, the person he appeared to. Okay, so it's a mystery. Who is Hashem appearing to?
maybe I'll.
Well, let's continue. Now we got Be'elone Mamre.
Oh,
What's Be'ez mean?
in
From or when?
in-
in the plains of Mamre.
Correct. And Hashem appeared to him in the plains of Mamre. Plain is a flat land, and the place was called Mamre, named after a person whose name is Mamre. Okay, let's continue. Vehu Yoshev.
And he sat,
And
and
he-
he stayed, and he sat.
And he is sitting. Yoshev is present tense. And he is sitting. Who is sitting? Is Hashem sitting?
It sounds like Avram.
Well, we'll have to see. Okay, let's continue. Pesach ha'ohel. What's an ohel?
Tent.
Stand
A tent. What's a Pesach? I gave it to you.
open.
At the entrance.
Ends of a tent.
At the entrance of the tent, Kechom hayom. What's hayom?
The day.
Day.
Today.
What's cham? Chom.
Chum.
To them.
What? What's cham? Cham is hot.
Oh,
Kechom hayom, at the heat of the day. Okay, let's try to unpack all this. Vayera Elov Hashem. Hashem appeared to him. Where did he appear to him? In Elone Mamre. And he was sitting at the entrance of the tent at the heat of the day. So we have many questions to ask in this pasuk. At least 3 or 4 questions. Fire away. What questions do you have?
who's he appearing to?
Who is he appearing to? Question number 1.
Why would this be the start of this parsha?
Why would this be the start of this parsha? Okay.
You would think that there's a directive right at the beginning, and there doesn't seem to be any.
And whose tent are we talking about?
I mean, we can
Whose
guess.
tent are we?
Did you guessing?
Why the time of the day important?
Okay, and what else? What? Keep going. You're doing good.
Why is the time of the day important?
Why is the time of day important? Who cares when it is?
The fact that it was hot?
Hot.
Well, it was hot. It was really hot. So,
There you go.
okay, is that a relevant fact? It was a hot day. How often did you find in the Torah it tells you the weather?
Not there.
Not often.
Noah, at first no.
Well, that was
It's a rainstorm during Noah.
mainly rain.
Yeah, versus Noah.
Forecast for the next 40 days, rain.
CP24. Okay.
Okay. Okay, but we never know about temperature. And the mystery is, but who is he? Who is he?
It's Avram. After he had his bris.
Yeah,
How do you know that?
that's how we ended the last part.
Because
Okay, good, Janet. That's how we ended the last parsha. We ended the last parsha that Hashem tells Avram to circumcise himself and his entire family. So that's exactly what Avram did. Everyone was circumcised, and that's the end of last week's parsha. So Vayera Elov Hashem, we will have to deduce to mean what?
Hashem appeared to Avram.
Avram is the him.
Mhm.
Is the him. Okay, so now the question is, if that's the him, why doesn't it just say Vayera Hashem El Avram?
Good.
Wouldn't that be a simple way of saying things?
True.
It would leave us with little doubt. I'm going to say, well, but it was the end of last parsha. But then the last parsha, it was like the end of the topic.
Maybe it's a general, it creates a generalization that if someone is sick, you visit them.
Well, okay, who said anybody's sick?
In pain.
Somebody is recovering from an illness, not an illness, recovering from a surgical procedure, whatever, then it's a mitzvah to visit them.
Okay. So obviously you have some prior knowledge of what's going on here. That's good. Okay, it'll make it a little easier for us. Okay,
Doesn't matter
so
how hot it is, you still visit them.
Now, the thing is, if Hashem didn't write Avram, did it mean that, maybe it wasn't direct? I mean, maybe he did it through another means?
The angels.
what do you mean?
Angels?
Oh,
What do you mean? What do you mean through other means?
Like through angels? The angels visited him rather than Hashem? Hashem sent the angels?
No, it says Vayera Elov Hashem. Hashem appeared to him, right?
mm.
Okay, let's take a look. Chapter 12, verse 7. Hang on. let's go back to the beginning of our adventures in Parshas Lech Lecha. Okay, real quick, like, hello.
What happened?
He is sitting.
Okay, beginning of Lech Lecha, Hashem told Avram, Lech Lecha, go and this, he went, etc. He passed into the land, and look what it says. Vayera Hashem el Avram. And Hashem appeared to Avram. Vayomer, and he said to him, blah, 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 blah. So there you have an example where Hashem appears to Avram and he says something to him. Okay, so let's take a look at another section. And he split up with Lot. Hashem Amar el Avram, and Hashem spoke to Avram after he separated from it. 2 times he spoke to him. It doesn't tell us where he spoke to him. All right, let's go a little bit to another place. After these words, the word of Hashem was to Avram. Okay, let's try another example. Take Hagar and let's skip that. We're just saying all the times. Okay, Avram's 99. Vayera Hashem el Avram vayomer. Hashem appeared to Avram and he said, do you see the pattern over here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It appears-
Whenever it's Vayera, it says El Avram. And then it says Vayomer. And he said, okay, I think that's it. Let me see if this, Vayomer Elokim El Avram. Okay.
Wait a minute, could be the reverse. Rabbi, could it be the reverse that Avram actually looked for Hashem rather than Hashem looking for Avram?
No. Vayera, Hashem appeared to Avram.
Okay.
Okay, we end with the circumcision and now we begin. Vayera Elov Hashem. Ve'elo Mamre. This is totally not the way it is. Vayera Elov Hashem. And all the other cases, we know that Avram, Hashem speaking to Avram, and it still says he appears to him. Okay? Just wherever we look, it keeps going that way, and we have a good idea.
Hashem is always there.
Look at this. Vayehi Avram ben Tishim Shana v'Tesha Shanim. Avram is 99 years old. Yeah? It could have easily said, Vayera Elov El Avram, because we already know who it is. Or Vayera Hashem Elov. But no, Vayera Hashem El Avram, Vayomer Elov. I mean, it's like very clear when the Torah writes it every time. And we just were talking about Avram, weren't we? We just are talking about Avram. Avram is 99 years old, right? He's the subject. And it says, Vayera Hashem El Avram. Now, you can't be any doubt who Hashem is speaking to, right? What if it would have said, Vayera ben Tishim Shana v'Tesha Shamim, Vayomer Elov Hashem? Would we have any doubt who he's speaking to? So we see, and even though we know who he's speaking to, you still say who you're speaking to. So that's what makes the beginning of this parsha so difficult to understand. What's this Vayera Elov? Why is Avram not mentioned? That's a very, very strong question.
Did he just initiate the covenant?
And now, what else should happen? So Hashem appears to him. Now, what do you expect?
And he said,
Should it say Vayomer Elov? And he said to him?
There's nothing to-
Shouldn't it say it? Every time Hashem appears to Avram, doesn't he say something? Correct?
But the thing,
Why don't
Rabbi,
we have to say anything?
yeah, but he just had a bris. I mean, that's the covenant.
Maybe he doesn't want to show that.
Wait a minute, so he can't talk to him?
No, but he doesn't want to tell
He
you.
doesn't need to talk to him. What do you need to talk about?
Because usually he doesn't.
One second. Kathy, what did you say?
I don't understand what does he need to talk about? Isn't the point that he's there? He's here. So maybe it's a comment on that whenever anybody has a bris, Hashem is going to be with them in some way.
Okay, very good. Very good. See, because if we follow up, it's just, you look at the next few psukim, like, oh, maybe he's interrupted. Hashem appears to him, and he shows him where he appears to him. And then we look at the next 7 psukim. Looking up, he saw 3 men standing near him. As soon as he saw them, he ran for the entrance of the tent to greet them and bowing to the ground. All of a sudden, Avram's busy with his guests. So it's like what happened to the Vayomer Elav? So these are the questions that are troubling Rashi. And therefore, you're very correct. This is what Rashi says. Because of these questions and other questions, Rashi says, Levaker es hachole. What's a chole?
Somebody who's healing, a sick person.
A sick person. Levaker is to visit. To visit the sick. So now how did Rashi know that? How did Rashi know that? How does he know he went to visit the sick? So you guys are just deducing, well, he just had a circumcision. Okay, but guess what? Every time we have a story and then another story, is it always immediately following the story before that?
Not necessarily.
I mean, we got through Lech Lecha. Not every story was right after the next story. We finished one parsha, end of one story. How do you know it's not 6 months later? See, you were taking an intelligent guess, Kathy, an intelligent guess, because you're saying, listen, he just got circumcised, so it makes sense to visit him. How do you know it's happening right afterwards? What proof do you have? It's another parsha. It's a new section. It could be 6 months later. Could be 5 years later. The Torah does not always one thing after the other. In Lech Lecha itself, we didn't have that. If it says, and it was after these things, then we can say, okay, it was after that. So Kathy used her intelligent guess. And guess what? You were lucky. You happened to be right. But it could be either because you remember from past parshios what happened. But if I tell you what's your proof, you have no proof. You have no proof. So what is Rashi's proof? Rashi's proof is, number one, as we'll see, it doesn't say he appeared to Avram. It says he appeared to him. Well, if it appeared to him, then the text must know we're talking about somebody we just spoke about. Number one. Number two, it doesn't say anything to him. Every other time Hashem appeared to Avram, he had something to say. So now we have 2 points in our favor. We don't know who Hashem is talking to, and it can't be the Torah is going to be so unclear. So it makes sense it should follow up on what happened. But more important, every time we have Vayera Hashem to Avram, he says something, and here he's not saying anything. So now, if Hashem is coming to him, and he's not saying anything, then why in the world are you appearing to him? Therefore, Rashi from Chazal says there must be something where you appear and you don't say. And what is that? Levaker es hachole, to visit the sick. See, this is how Rashi knew. Rashi can't guess. He can't guess it's visiting the sick. We have to have proof that that's what it means. So since we don't know who we're talking about, and the Torah can't leave it like we don't know who we're talking about, so it has to be following what was before. And Hashem isn't saying anything, so let's put 2 and 2 together, or 1 and 1 together. If you're visiting Avram, and the text is, if the text is after the bris, and Hashem doesn't say anything, Why would Hashem come to Avram after a bris and not say anything? The answer is the sick. Follow? That's how Rashi knew to visit the sick. Now, another question though. Why does it have to say to visit the sick? Why does it just say to visit him? Now, or better yet, let's read the rest of the Rashi and see if we have another question. So Rashi brings from the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Chama bar Chanina. That's a rabbi in the Talmud. Rabbi Chama, the son of Chanina, said the following. Yom Shlishi. What does Yom Shlishi mean?
Third day.
The third day, Limilaso.
Of the breast.
It was the third day after the circumcision. Okay, it was the third day after the circumcision. Uba HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what does that mean?
And HaKadosh Baruch Hu came
And Hashem came, V'sha'al bishlomo,
and inquired about his health.
and he inquired about his welfare. Okay, so what's Rashi telling us over here? Rashi's telling us a lot of things over here. Rashi's telling us he's visiting the sick person. The only sick person we know is Avram, who just got circumcised. But what's the idea of the third day of the Milah? What's the idea?
Most painful?
Well, I guess so, because why would he not come before?
The third day.
Right? I mean, shouldn't he come the first day after the circumcision? Second day, was Hashem too busy to visit him? He comes on the third day.
Was the most difficult.
Okay,
Hashem knew that he's going to send him angels as guests.
we don't know anything about the angels yet. We don't know anything about the angels yet. We gotta wait for the angels.
Oh.
But now the question is, so what's Rashi really telling us? What from you have the pasuk. Okay, what does this Rashi do for us? What information did we not have that Rashi tells us? I know it sounds like an obvious question, but you'll see what I'm driving at.
It's the third day.
We have a pasuk. It says, and Hashem appeared to him in Elonei Mamre. So what is Rashi telling us? He's telling us what was the purpose of appearing to him, right?
Right.
Since he's not saying anything, there's got to be some other purpose.
Something's weird.
So what is tell me in your own words, what is the purpose?
Seeing how he is. That's it. It's
To see how he is.
That's it. Plain and simple.
Why do you need so many words to say that?
Does Hashem actually does it have to say that he came to visit him? Like Hashem doesn't come down, and visit. To me, it's like, at the beginning when you did part in the Parsha, and Hashem rested on the seventh day. Hashem doesn't rest. It's sort of like something to teach us, an example that if Hashem comes to appear, it means that we should emulate Hashem and we should be there for people who are sick.
Wow, what a genius.
No, the whole
What a genius.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. You're saying very good stuff. But I still want to ask a question. Did Rashi have to say all these words to say that message? Isn't there a little more concise way of saying the message or what do you have to say? He's bringing the Gemara. Let's put it this way. Let's say I take out this line. You know what my favorite game is?
Race and disgust.
Okay, now, you never saw this Rashi before. Forget everything you saw. Love, Rav Chamberger says, it was the third day of the Milah, and Hashem came to see how he was doing. Would I be missing any information?
No.
Because it's the third day after the Milah. So obviously, it means he's in pain, right?
Yes.
Right? and Hashem comes to see how he's doing. Well, doesn't that by definition means he's visiting the sick?
Mhm.
Like, what would Rashi be missing? Is anything wrong with this Rashi the way it is? Rab Chani Bar says it was the third day after the Milah. Hashem came and he was inquiring for his welfare. Now, what do you do when you visit the sick, Janet? What do you do when you visit the sick?
Maybe see how they're doing, bring them something.
You're inquiring about their welfare,
Or console them.
and you're maybe doing something about their welfare, right?
Right.
You just don't come in there and sit. Like you say, how you feeling? Terrible doctors, terrible nurses. You say, well, maybe we should find another doctor, another nurse. Yeah, can you make a few phone calls for me? Sure. They haven't given me food in 3 days. They forgot about me. Whoa, gotta make sure you got some food. So once you say that I'm inquiring about your welfare, am I not visiting? And we know that it's the third day after the Milah. Isn't it obvious that Hashem is visiting the sick?
Mhm.
So therefore, the question is, what am I doing with that verse?
You're emphasizing the
You-
visit.
you- there's something to emphasize. Well, what's it emphasizing?
So you're sick.
That you're visiting.
Well, we know that already. It was on the third day Hashem came. He came.
But the first line identifies that he was sick.
I don't need
Right.
that. I don't need it. Again, let's take it out.
Same thing twice a day.
Let's take it out.
Then there's something important about it.
The Rashi is beautiful the way it is. It was the third day of the Milah. Hashem came to inquire. Why is he inquiring?
Maybe
inquiring 'cause you're
Abraham
sick.
needed visitors.
I'm sorry?
I said maybe Abraham needed visitors.
Okay, so that's why he's coming. So is anything missing in this Rashi the way I have it shown to you now?
No, I'm just saying it's repetitive. It's repetitive, it's forever.
Right? So then what?
It is missing,
What's missing? What don't I know? When I have this, what don't I know?
that you don't know whether he's sick. It's only.
What do you mean? It says it's the third day after the Milah and he's asking about his welfare.
I'm just asking about his welfare, doesn't mean that he's.
Why are you asking about somebody's welfare? Because you not nothing better to do?
Yeah, because he's got 3 days, he's not got any guests, so he's just saying, well, how are you feeling about it?
Usually Shalom means he's asking about his welfare. How is he doing? How are you doing? How are you feeling?
But Rabbi, when you visit somebody who might be ill, you don't know what their state is at that time. They could be a lot better, they could be feeling better, or they could be feeling worse.
Okay, so what's your point?
Well, the thing is, the first line introduces us his welfare, that he is sick, and it was on the third day after the Milah.
Okay.
Because if
Again,
I came to visit a friend and they had.
hey, let me ask you a question. You're
Yeah.
not a doctor, but you're a smart guy.
Try to
If
be.
I cut off the foreskin of a 99-year-old man, how is he going to feel 3 days later?
So
He's gonna be in pain.
Lousy.
Would you call him a sick? Would you have to be a rocket scientist to figure that he's a bit under the weather?
No,
Okay, so you know he's not well, right? And Hashem is coming to ask about his welfare.
She's repeating.
Well, obviously he's a sick guy. You see, the problem is I keep making the same mistake. I give you the whole Rashi
Well, there could
first,
be
and
a physical-
I don't give you part of the Rashi. So now you're so hell bent on accepting the way the Rashi was, you can't see it any other way. I'm
Rabbi,
trying to show.
there could be like a physical and there could be a mental state as well. I mean, the person could be
Well, a
physically
sick
pain.
person has a physical and mental issues. You're right. He has both issues. Fine, I get it all. But if I would ask you, God appeared to him on the third day after his circumcision, and he asked about his welfare, and I would ask you, would you think he's visiting a sick person? What would your answer be?
I would conclude yes.
Yes. So then I don't need Rashi to tell it to me. If you're smart enough, Jay, to figure it out, then Rashi don't got to tell it to me.
Rashi says something.
See, this is yesterday's Parsha class where you get
Rashi
information
wrote
and you
it in for a
question it.
reason.
What?
Rashi writes things for a reason.
Of course, but you have no idea what the reason is.
We're trying to figure it out.
Working on
Oh, yes, I agree. But I'm just trying to show you we can't learn the Rashi as simple as it presents itself. But Rashi is trying to tell us something else. Absolutely, he is. But what is that? What is that?
Can you tell us the
visiting the
So let me share with you an idea from the Be'er Mayim Chaim, from Rav Chaim Chernovitz, great Hasidic Rebbe. Great Hasidic Rebbe. And he asks this question. He also says, it should have said, if anything, Rashi should have just said, you know what would have been the simplest thing to say? Why does it say Vayar Elav Levakro, to visit him? Just say that. What do you mean to visit the sick? We know he's sick. Okay. Okay. And again, he's bothered with why does it say Vayera Hashem El Avram? So the rabbis tell us like this. The Medrash says the Torah begins with kindness, ends with kindness, and has kindness in the middle. And the Medrash explains what that means. It starts with kindness. When Hashem created Eve from Adam, we learned from that Hashem acted like he adorned Chava to look beautiful, and he escorted her to the chuppah, as it were. So that's kindness. The first thing Hashem did was a kindness. He set up the shidduch and made the wedding ceremony. Torah ends with the death of Moshe. Who buries Moshe? Hashem. That's an act of kindness. And the middle is kindness. This story right over here. Right over here. So what's that mean? Because the Torah is telling you how a person has to behave. And as you said, Kathy, to emulate Hashem. Hashem gets a kala to the chuppah. You do it too. Hashem buries the dead. You do it too. Hashem visits Avram. You do it too. Now, but wait a minute. I'm a busy guy. I'm a really busy guy, you know? I don't got a lot of time to waste, but I got money. So you know what? I'm gonna hire a wedding planner, give him a check for $10,000 and say, plan the wedding for me. I don't got time to be there. Somebody died. I go to Steele's Memorial. I call them up. Here's 20 grand. Take care of the funeral. Hire 10 people to be there to say Kaddish. Prepare the body. Sick people, here's $100,000 check to Laniado Hospital. Get this guy. This guy has to go to the hospital right away. Get the emergency thing. Take him and take care of him. Or better yet, I'll pay people to visit the sick. Would that be nice? What mitzvah, if I did any of those three things, what mitzvah would you say I did? Let's say specifically, there's a sick person. There's a sick person. I go to Janet. I say, Janet, here's $1,000 for your time. I'd like you to go 10 times in the next month to visit this person and take care of what they need. Okay. Now, Janet was very busy. She's a wonderful person, but she wouldn't have thought of doing it. But because I paid her, she did it. I mean, you would do it anyway, Janet. But anyway, but you did it because I paid you. What mitzvah do I get?
Isn't it Gmilut Chasadim?
Well, which kind of Gemilus Chasadim? Visiting the sick, no? Because I enabled Janet to visit the sick, no?
Yes.
But the answer is no. You know what mitzvah I did? I did the mitzvah of tzedakah.
Interesting.
It was tzedakah. So that means, let's say I give a donation to Bikur Cholim. I every year give a nice donation to Bikur Cholim. So that helps them do Bikur Cholim. Did I do the mitzvah Bikur Cholim? No. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't know what we got a blank there. In Zoom land, can you still see the screen?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Everything's the same.
And your pointer as well, and your mouse.
Okay, but the guys here lost the screen mirroring. That's number 2 for today.
We got it.
Let's get it back. But anyway, it's only the mitzvah tzedakah. Because the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim is only done if you go and visit the sick yourself. And what do you do when you visit the sick? There's a lot of things you do. The Shulchan Aruch says, for example, in the laws of visiting the sick, if a person visits the sick and when he's there, he does not pray for mercy for the person, he has not fulfilled the mitzvah. There's 3, the Gemara says, and this is a mystical idea, I'm not going to get into it. It says, when you visit a sick person, you can remove 1/60th of his sickness. Whatever that means. Okay. And there's a mitzvah to see if he needs any help. So therefore, it's a big mitzvah, but it's a mitzvah you have to do yourself. Now, how do we know that? How would I know that that's the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim? I know that because Hashem is showing me how to do it. Now, don't you think Hashem is a pretty busy God? Don't you think Hashem has a lot of agents? He's got a lot of angels. So why couldn't he just send a few angels out to go and heal him? The answer is you got to do it yourself. So therefore, first question is, Hashem appears to him, he doesn't say anything. The answer is, he doesn't give any commands. It's not like a nevuah, like promises and this and that, like normal, because that's not the point. And it says, Vayera, again, this is happening. I don't know what's going on. Then it says, Vayera love Hashem, and not Tavram in other places. So Rashi now says it's the 3rd day of the Milah. And that's why he's not saying any prophecy, because he didn't come to tell him anything. He only came to visit him when the sickness is at its worst. But it's still one more idea. I got to see why this is pumping out here. Maybe, no, it's Wi-Fi to the right place. I don't know what's going on over here. Okay, we'll try it again. But anyway, and now the final part. So you see what's going on. But Rashi has one more precious piece of information to tell us. And this will explain everything. Now, of course, we know it's Yom Shlishi L'Milaso. It's the 3rd day after the circumcision. Hashem is coming to check out his welfare. But Vayera Elov, Hashem appears to Moshe, to Avram. He doesn't say Levakro, to visit him. He could have said he appeared to him Levakro, to visit him. Wouldn't that be a succinct way of saying it? I mean, we know he's sick. Don't we know he's sick? I mean, it's the 3rd day of the Milah. Why does it say Levakro? And the answer is Hashem appears to Avram for the purpose of teaching Avram that you too one day should levaker es hachola. You should visit the sick too. That's why he appears to him. He appears to him to teach him. How do we do the mitzvah of Bikur Cholim? You know why? There weren't too many sick people in the world. The Talmud tells us, until Yitzchak came along, there was no such thing as sickness. Did you know that?
No.
There's no such thing as a sick person. Either somebody killed you, you're healthy to the last day of your life, you sneezed and died. No, that's the truth.
My thesis got knocked out years ago.
Not until Yitzchak was there any idea of people getting sick, and not until Yaakov was there an idea that a person gets sick for a long time, a little while, until he dies. So guess what, my friends? Until this chapter, there's no such thing as a person being sick. Think about it. Were there surgeries in those days?
No.
Was there anything until this day? Was there ever a surgery done? No, the only surgery was I take a knife, I stick it in your chest, and I kill you. Right? You go to war, you chop the guy's arm off. You think there's 100 paramedics there going to bandage him up? He bled to death. People left the world. Either they died instantly when their time came up and they sneezed, or somebody murdered them. Here we have the first time where a person is actually sick because we had no circumcision till now. I'm circumcised. It's a surgery. And he's in pain. Now it's the first time we have a concept of a sick person. So Hashem now is coming to visit Amram to show him, you know, we have created a new reality, and that is that people can get sick. What do we do when a person is sick? Just let him suffer, and when he's better, he joins society? So Hashem says, I got to teach it myself. And how do I teach it? I teach it by doing it. And this is how you do it. Yourself. So now you see this Rashi is a gem. You see? Hashem appears to him. Why does he appear to him? Because he wants to show Abram Levakar es hachole, to know how to visit the sick. And how's he going to know how to visit the sick? Because this was the third day of circumcision. And what does Hashem do? He comes and asks about his welfare. And that is how you do the mitzvah of Bikkur Cholim. Wow, that's a really full Rashi, isn't it? That's incredible Rashi. So this is what we learn about Bikkur Cholim over here. Okay.
So Rabbi, where does it say besides Rashi that it was the third day?
Rashi's quoting from a midrash.
Oh.
Quoting from a midrash. But we know, for example, later on in the Torah, when the brothers tell Shechem and all the people in the city to circumcise themselves if they want to marry Tamar, the Torah says it was on the third day and they were in pain. So that's an issue. Okay.
Is there anything there that because of the third day, like because he visited on the so-called third day, like don't visit anybody on the day and the day after, wait till the third day?
Well, it would seem that way. It would seem that that's when they really need to visit. But now we're going to ask another question. And it pops up. If you look in the Talmud Shabbos, it talks about, when you can desecrate the Shabbos for sick people. The Talmud says the first day of a baby circumcision is the most dangerous one. So if that's the case, so why did Hashem not visit him on the first day of his circumcision? This sounds like a technical question. It doesn't change the message. It doesn't change the moral. Nothing gets changed. Obviously, third day is also a painful day. It's a painful day, but it's more pain than danger. There's pain, there's danger. So why did Hashem wait for the third day? So we will leave that question because it's not time to answer it until we bring up another issue, but I will not forget about it. Okay. Now, let's go to the next point. Hashem, okay, now we got it clear. Hashem appears to him because he has nothing to say to him. And let me add one more point from the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, which is really an incredible idea. I'm just looking to find it in my notes. Problem is there's so many things to talk about over here. Yes. So what's the idea that Hashem appeared to him? So the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, especially with no, and Hashem spoke to him. Orach Chaim says that the message is that from now on, Hashem is going to rest upon Avram in a permanent way. And there's a term that we call a real tzaddik. It's a Kabbalistic term, but it's very practical. The patriarchs were called their Merkava of the Shekhinah. A Merkava means the chariot. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were called the Merkava of the Shekhinah, the chariot of the Shekhinah. And what is happening here right now, when it says, and Hashem appeared to him without saying anything, because saying means I had a purpose to appear to you. But appearing to him means that Hashem's presence became felt by Avram. Now, if we would have said his name, we think, well, I guess he had a reason to talk to him. But the point is that he now has the Shekhinah on him, and he now is a chariot of the Shekhinah, which means, to make it very simple, what does a chariot do on the simplest level? What does a chariot do?
From one place
It
to
carries the rider from one place to another. So what if a person is a chariot of God? So what does that mean?
He's a messenger.
You're taking Hashem with you wherever you go. And that means people will be aware of God's presence through your actions, such as if someone will get sick again, Aaron's going to do something that never happened in the history of the world before. He'll visit them. You say, how did you know to do that? It was such a nice thing you did. Well, you know, there's a little bit of God in me, you know. I'm carrying the Almighty on my shoulders. So this really becomes a breakthrough, because at this point now, Avram is growing in his righteousness, but now he's really hit a very high level. It said Hashem appears to him, period. You don't need to say anything anymore. Hashem is like him and Hashem, they're tight, they're close. And that's because he removed the foreskin. That was a barrier. That's a barrier. The foreskin represents indulgence in physical pleasures. So the barrier was cut away, and now Hashem is going to be with him all the time. So that's another meaning. But let us press on. There's one more important point I want to get in here. There's so much, we could spend 5 hours on this. But anyway, he appeared to him in Elone Mamre. And the question is, we don't find anywhere else when Hashem appears to Avram that it says where he was. Who cares it was the plains of Mamre? Does it matter? If it wouldn't say Be'elone Mamre, would it make a difference? Does it matter where it was? For the message, Hashem visits the sick. Does the message get altered because of that? No. So why does it have to say in the plains of Mamre? So let's take a look at a beautiful medrash. It's on your paper. Avram had 3 friends, his compadres, Oner, Eshkol, and Mamre. When Hashem commanded Avram to circumcise himself, he consulted each of them. He first went to Oner and related to him that the Holy One had said to circumcise. Oner said, do you wish to cripple yourself so severely that when the descendants of the kings who you have slain attack, you'll be not unable to flee from them? Or you're compromising yourself. People are going to hear that you got circumcised. They're going to attack you, just like Yaakov's children destroyed the city of Shem. So Oner said, not a good idea. So he went to Eshkol, and he asked Eshkol. He says, you're an old man. And if you're circumcised, consider blood will flow from you, and you will not be able to survive the loss and will perish. So it's just not a good medical idea. Goes to Mamre. What do you advise? Mamre said, need you seek my advice in such a manner? Did he not release you from the fiery furnace? Did he not perform miracles in your behalf and rescue you from kings? The fact is that you would have been destroyed long ago were it not for his strength and his might. He saved your 248 limbs, and yet you ask advice concerning merely a piece of one of your organs? Do as he commanded. Thereupon, the Holy One, blessed, exclaimed, blessed shall you be for having advised him to be circumcised. I shall reveal myself to him only in your territory. Hence it is written, the Lord appeared unto him by the tabernates of Mamre. And this medrash is the source of Rashi.
Wow.
Look what Rashi says, Bela Mamre, who? He, Mamre, Shinasan, that he gave Eitzah the advice, Al Hamila, for the circumcision, Lafika, therefore, Nigla Alav Bechelko, he revealed himself in his portion. Okay, so now we know why it has to be said. Okay. Now, the question is, but obviously, we know that he was here already. Right. So the answer is, but Hashem wants to make the point that Mamre, you're very important. Everyone will know that where did Avram become the chariot of Hashem? In the place where Mamre gave, because Mamre gave the advice. So it's not just a geographic location. It's giving a kudos to Mamre for posterity. Every year, people will know, when did Hashem get closest to Avram? Where? That was because of Mamre's advice that he gave to Avram. Okay, that's a very nice Rashi. Now, there is a major problem. Major problem with this whole medrash. And what's the problem? Hashem asks Avram to, doesn't ask, he tells Avram to circumcise himself. Yeah. So if Hashem tells you to do something, do you ask advice from people if you should listen to Hashem?
No, you should just do it right away without questioning.
What's going on? This is one of the most famous kashas on this parsha. Is there any doubt that Avram would not have done what Hashem told him to do? I mean, he's done a lot of things by now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's already been willing to risk his life. He fought the 4 kings. I mean, come on. He was willing to throw himself into a furnace. So, okay, you circumcise yourself. Like, what's the big deal? So there's many answers, many answers. One of the answers is, certainly would have done it. Why do you go to advice? Because since they were his allies, he spoke to them as friends. But he wanted to test their sincerity. He wanted to know if they really were his friends. If they'll advise him to circumcise, then they're sincere friends. And in the end, Eshkol and Oner advise him against it. So I guess they're kind of fair weather friends. But he knew that Mamre was a good friend. So that's one answer. It wasn't for him, it was to test his friends. Another answer that is given, and this is an incredible answer, he knew they were going to tell him not to. But yet, he would do it anyway. In other words, he's doing this to make the test harder on him. Hashem says, yes, do it. But I want to know, okay, do it, fine. But I want to know, is this going against the grain of what even my friends think? And that way, he's doing the mitzvah even in a greater way. I want to know, if doing this, everyone's going to look askance at me, then I know I've even done more than I thought I'm doing. Now, let's think about this. These were not just 3 regular guys. They were big, great men of their generation. Now, you know what's the worst way to keep a secret? Tell 3 people to keep it a secret. That's a halacha. That's a halacha. If somebody tells information to 3 people, you could assume he doesn't mean that it should be kept private. Normally, if I speak to you and I said, Jay, I want to tell you something confidentially, you're not allowed to tell anybody. You can't go to your wife and say, the rabbi told me this. You can't. But if I go to 3 people at the same time and say, I'm telling you off the record, it's a fact. It's not possible 3 people can keep a secret. So he went to 3 people, these 3 people, because what would happen is people would quickly find out that Avram asked for advice the whole world will now know that he's doing it. It's not a secret. And they're going to know that this old man does not hesitate to accomplish the commandment of the Creator, even if it's his own blood, even if there's many reasons not to do it. Everyone will know. The four kings will know. They'll have enough time to try to have a reprisal against him in a compromised situation. Whereas he is publicizing his vulnerability. He's publicizing the fact that this is at great risk of his life. But he's also publicizing, as the third friend said, but I trust that Hashem will help me like he always has helped me. Okay. And again, this obviously makes the challenge much greater for him. And you know what? It could be that they might start thinking maybe they're going to have to get circumcised. You know, with your best friend, your best ally, you know, God told me to circumcise me and my family. He doesn't say it, but he's kind of hinting, what about you guys? Okay. So maybe they want to stop him. So he goes and circumcises. And what's the price he's paying? What is the price he's paying? He might lose their friendship, won't he? He might lose it. More than that, there's a medrash that says Avram was wondering, you know, in those days, where did people take a bath?
In the river or the lake?
Was it a private affair?
No.
What about bathhouses? Point I'm saying is when people would bathe, it was a public place. Now, imagine every man in the world has a foreskin covering up his organs. One day, Avram comes to take a shower and they say, hey, what happened to you, man? What happened to you, man? And then they say, and you know, Avram's trying to be their friend. He wants to bring them closer to God, right? And for all intents and purposes, Avram looked like anybody else, didn't he? Imagine now that the people that you're trying to reach out to, and they think that you're one of the guys, say, what did you do to yourself? What did you do? Ugh, that's disgusting. You took from such an important part of the body, you decimated it. You know what? Avram, maybe I'm not going to hang around you anymore. And Avram was concerned. So he wanted to know what public opinion would be. Not that it would make a difference. Not that it would make a difference. But the fact of the matter is, so now everybody now knows about it. And the real question he was asking, according to some opinions, should I do it publicly or privately? There was no question he was going to do it. God did not tell him he had to do it publicly or privately. He just said, do it. So now Avram's thinking, you know what's happening now with all those Haitians that are illegally crossing the border, the United States doing with them. You know what they're doing with them? 3 o'clock in the morning, they're flying them from the Texas border to Westchester County, New York, upper class suburban area. At 3 in the morning. Why? Because they don't want anybody to see what we're doing. You know what's happening? Thousands of people, illegal immigrants, are being flown in, but in the middle of the night, so no one will know. So Avram's figuring, okay, I got to do it, but let me speak to my friend. Should I do it publicly or should I do it privately? Now that makes sense, because if I do it publicly, he could get killed. And that's what his friend said, do it publicly, you're going to get killed. So therefore, Hashem says, your Mamre friend is a good friend. He says, what do you got to be afraid of? Do it, but not only do it, but do it publicly. And that's why it mentions in his territory. Okay, beautiful, beautiful idea. Others say that he asked advice so people won't think, the guy doesn't think, he just makes rash decisions. That's why God gave Avram 3 days till he found Mount Moriah. So people will say he had enough time to think it over and he still decided to do it. And one last idea they say is imagine, let's say, Chanoch, one day you just decide you're going to move to Eretz Yisrael. Now, will you do A or B? You're going to decide, you say, Edna, we're going to go to Israel. Your wife says, fine. You tell your 3 children, we're going to Israel, fine. You book that you're going to make Aliyah. Okay, today is October, whatever. You book your Aliyah flight for January 1st. Nefesh b'nefesh, a free flight. How do you think, now Chanoch would never do this. But what if on December 31st, the first time he comes over to me, Rabbi, I just want you to know I'm making Aliyah, I'm leaving tomorrow. What would be inappropriate about that?
Why didn't you tell him earlier?
I thought we were friends.
'Cause you-
You don't tell me you're doing the most important decision of your life and you don't even tell me? I find out, or better yet, or worse, I found out from somebody else that you're leaving. If you got friends, you got to share with them what you're doing. Don't surprise them. These are his confederates. So he apprises them by saying, Hashem told me to do this. What do you think? Not that he cares what their opinion is necessarily, but to be a mensch. But we also see he does care what they say because he wants to let everyone know, and therefore he's willing to put his life in danger. And with this, we now move back to a question we asked before, and we're going to answer the question over here. Okay, so we're seeing now that, so now we ask, why didn't Hashem come on the first day of the circumcision? If it's the most dangerous day, he should have come on the first day, shouldn't he? But what does Hashem see as Avram's will? Avram's will is to do this mitzvah. And he wants to do the mitzvah in the greatest way possible. Now remember, Avram could have done it in the middle of the night, sneaking out and nobody would know, right? How much of a Kiddush Hashem would that be? Not much. He wants everybody to know. And it said before, he did it in the middle of the day. He didn't want everybody could know. He probably put big signs up. This way to the circumcision. We're going to have a celebratory meal because we're getting hundreds of people in my family are being circumcised. You know, all my fellows who went to fight the battle and killed the 4 kings, when everybody know about it, we're in a very compromised position. We don't care because we're not afraid. Hashem has told us what to do and we do it. Wow. So now, shouldn't Hashem visit him on the first day when it's the most dangerous for him? So the question is, well, the whole point of Avram being circumcised was to become a Merkava, a chariot for God, and to become perfect and to reveal God's light into the world. That's what's happening. So then why isn't Hashem coming right away? So you know what the answer is? Because on the first day, Hashem wanted Avram to truly feel that he could possibly die. On that first day, oh man, it's killing me. I mean, remember, he's never felt this way before. What's the great fear of COVID? You know when the person gets really nervous? Not when they're having sniffles. Not when they're told they have COVID, but when they're having a little trouble breathing.
For sure.
All of a sudden, the anxiety level shoots through the roof. And we're not talking about that you can't breathe, but you're feeling a little of it. And then a little more. You know, it hits you, you know, I could die. Now let's just back it up. A 99-year-old man cuts a surgery on his foreskin. And that first day, it's killing him. And for the very first time, Avram feels, I could die. Hashem wanted Avram to feel that and for the whole world to realize that this guy could die. And that's a real Kiddush Hashem. And it wouldn't have happened if Hashem would have come the first day. Because remember, when Hashem comes, he comes with healing. So so you're right, Hashem should have come the first day. He would have healed him right away, but he wanted Avram to wait 3 days. So people would see exactly how much Avram puts his life in danger. And more than that, people are going to say on the first day, Avram, you're hurt. Where's your God? Why isn't your God coming to heal you? I don't know. It's not my problem. He told me to do it. I did it. Second day, it's killing him. You think maybe now Avram's getting demoralized? No, on the contrary, he's happy because the more pain he's in, the more he is sanctifying God's name. And isn't that what he always wanted to do? So the way you want to go, that's the way Hashem lets you go. So Avram wanted to serve Hashem at the risk of dying. I'm doing it publicly. Let the 4 kings try to kill me. I trust in you, Hashem. That's good in theory. Now, Hashem does not want the 4 kings to come because they might kill him, really. But he wants Avram to feel that maybe he's going to die because he's in so much pain. Maybe his soul will leave his body. Hashem allowed him to live through that danger because that's what he wanted to do. And then by the 3rd day, where maybe the pain was great, but the risk of death was diminished. Now Hashem says, you went through these 3 days, and we know it says he was standing at the tent. Why? Because he was looking for guests. And Hashem says, you know what? Not only did you listen to me, but you listened to me with joy. You listened to me with faith, and you listened to me even though it looks like I wasn't there for you, but you were still there for me because you still wanted guests, and you were upset. It was such a hot day that you weren't having any guests, so I have to send angels to you. This is Avram's greatest moment, where he wants to serve Hashem in the most difficult way, and Hashem says, I will let you do it. And from now on, you will be a chariot for me. And that, I think, is a big lesson. We want to be great people. We want to be close to Hashem. You want to be a chariot for Hashem, you got to be willing to not always assume Hashem's going to be there for you. And it's not about Hashem being there for you. Even if you know Hashem is not going to be there for you, that's when Hashem will be there for you forever. That's the message of this parsha, amongst many others that we haven't gotten around to. Okay, questions, comments? We're good? And okay, excellent. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed it.